Good morning, my friends. Yeah, I was just practicing some violin this morning, and I was just thinking about learning in general and what that's like. Music has been this great experience of learning for me. I think music was really the first place that I really learned how to learn. I mean, I noticed this as a young person, as like in my 20s, especially, I began to be able to articulate it. But music is a form, and there are these patterns on our instruments, patterns on the neck, and then in patterns in music, there's structure, and we apply ourselves to this form. We discipline ourselves because we want to participate, and somehow we have a deep learning experience. Oftentimes, the fiddle or the violin for me is it's almost as if it's a newer instrument for me. I mean, I still feel like a baby on this violin, and when I pick it up, it's almost like I have to relearn it every time. I mean, there's no frets on this like on my guitar. No, those friendly little perpendicular lines that the strings and the frets make to, and the frets may ensure that you play a note in tune. On the fiddle, there's this constant kind of tuning process, and then it's like if my fiddle is in a case for 3 months, and I just want to play it. I need to have like a working relationship with this instrument. My fingers need to be familiar and intimate. It's as if to anthropomorphize my instrument for a moment. It's as if I go and pick her up, and she's like, "What? You haven't talked to me in 3 months, and you want to make beautiful music with me? Not happening, And that's just kind of what it's like. So. These shapes, we find these ways that we move our fingers on the fretboard, or on there's no frets. What do we call that? The fingerboard. And we spend time with those sounds because we love them. Like there's this one sound that I just... this harmonic minor thing. Now, I don't know exactly what I'm going to play every time I start messing around with that, with those finger patterns, with those shapes. So I listen. I work on my vibrato with those shapes. It's like I have to find a way into the music. I need to feel like I'm making music, right? Oh, there's my buddy Chris. He's calling. I'm gonna call him back. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to kind of open that up this morning. Life is like this too. I mean, we have to practice, right? And sometimes we have to take that risk of playing the wrong notes or playing out of tune or what's that like? I know a lot of you, you play also. I mean, what was that like for you? That first time that you got up on stage, or that first time that you just showed up at a jam session, you're like, yeah, I play guitar, here's my guitar. The way that we get into those things, the way that we, honestly, oftentimes we're nurtured into those things, aren't we? Like, we'll find a group of people and somebody will say, hey, it's okay to mess up. You just come and play with us. Just come play. It's all right. And that's ideally how I think we want to be as teachers. We want to provide a context in which our students can kind of experience a certain safety and a certain, we can reassure them in a setting. And I think that's also what we need as we are learning and growing, not just in music, but in life. I'm kind of in a situation right now in my life where it's like I feel like, the spirit of love, the great spirit, the source, God it wants me to learn something that I don't know about. And how do we learn something? How do we come to a knowledge of something that we don't yet know? There must be some kind of great teaching and great learning, and there must be some kind of great willingness, right? Like at one point, this instrument, the intervals and on these strings, I remember the first time ever when I was about 17, long before I even owned a violin, I picked up one of these things, and I was just like, it was just so, just holding the bow and this under the chin, it's just like, oh gosh, it was just so uncomfortable, but there's something here to be discovered, right? There are these shapes and these patterns and as I become informed, I get to participate, right? I may not play it perfectly, but there's that thing in the music that's calling to me, right? I can hear it. I can hear it perfectly, and then I'm working. That's the discipline, right? Is I'm choosing to come to approach this instrument, to approach this practice of music, knowing that it's not about playing the notes all correctly, right? It's about, as I say, it's about the journey. It's about the learning process. And these things are easy for me to talk about in music, but sometimes we get in positions and in places and transition periods in our lives where it's, oh my gosh, and I know that well right now, where sometimes we can feel so overwhelmed, so inadequate, right? There have been times when I pulled out this instrument and just couldn't make a sound, and I just feel foolish for even getting this thing out. You just make this nasty sound and people are like, oh, you really play that thing? And I'm like, I think so. Anyway, that's kind of, I guess that's what I wanted to talk about this morning. And I'm just still trying to make these connections, and I've been out a lot, meeting a lot of people, playing a lot of music in different situations. I've kind of considered myself an introvert in the past, an introvert that's able to manifest some extrovert qualities, for the sake of getting by in this world. And the other day, somebody suggested maybe you're not an introvert. I don't really know. I guess there are all these different ways we try to understand ourselves. That's why we have these labels. That's why as humans, we're always trying to describe something, aren't we? Yeah, words are never enough, yet that doesn't stop us from trying to use them, does it? It definitely doesn't stop me. I know when I'm describing something, if I can describe something, I feel like it's not as scary, right? Because I can put labels on it, Yeah, I think it was Aristotle who first started kind of classifying and organizing the world, I'm sure there were people before him, but anyway, in my mind, somehow he was kind of like Darwin was a huge fan of Aristotle, right? There are these kind of two camps. There's the Platonian and I'm no philosopher. I don't even know why I brought that up. I think it's time for me to stop this recording. Once again, setting out on a great adventure, trying to describe things, right? Trying to learn things, just beginning to talk about things that we don't quite know about yet, but we know they're there. At least there are some things that we know we don't know about, right? and we can kind of talk about those a little bit, use a few words, and then there are those other things out there that we just don't even know, that we don't know about. How do we learn those things? How do we come into an understanding of those things, right? This video is already way too long for most of our attention spans. I know. The only reason I'm still here is because I'm doing it. I rarely watch 10 minutes and 25 seconds of a YouTube video, right? If you made it to the end, let me know. God bless you, my friends. God bless you.